What is going on, everybody? Anon here, and I want to talk about the market now that the Mayhem, whatever it is, sale at TCG Players over, and everything is just going through the absolute roof. So, yeah, about 2 weeks ago, there was a lot of rumblings and a bunch of poketubers that are talking about how singles are going through the floor and the bear market's coming and don't buy this, don't buy that, and the asteroid's about to hit and singles are always going to go down when products being open because you have the sealed product that is shrinking and you have the singles, the quantity which is growing. That's just, it's common sense. Everybody gets it. I don't know why people do videos about it, because if you don't understand that, you probably shouldn't be in the TCG space. But that being said, everything's making all-time highs. So let's talk through Final Fantasy first, and this set's an absolute banger. I know there've been some videos about people getting cut on play boxes. We have not yet. We have confirmed orders. We have confirmed shipping dates. But until the bill is paid, and I've been begging everybody to send it to me so I can pay it Monday, there's always that risk. But that being said, the allocations weren't bad, quite honestly. The commanders were a little bit better than Tarkir. The collectors were a little bit better than Tarkir. The commander collectors were super allocated. The Japanese collectors were super allocated. But the play boosters, and this is something that we made a huge play on. And I mean, obviously we're selling them for $140 in case form. But we really don't have a whole lot of openings left in Elite on the sub side. But I mean, you can see the boxes here. That says $168.90. This includes $10 shipping, I assume, or $7. So yeah, $10.99. So you're at $175, and 6,000 of these have sold. Now this was Banana Stand / Fortune Fire / Arrow, whatever the hell it is, for Wolf of Wall Street, whatever. Do their sale at $145 and change. What was interesting is there were no Pokemon sales. And I think I know why. The Pokemon Day, Pokemon sales, some of them were mine. We go back to the infamous $179.99 Surging Spark sale, which ain't looking too bad now because I've churned those funds a couple times for high double-digit returns. But that was Cyber Monday. I think in this sale, TCG Player, and I don't know for sure, I'm just guessing, given where the Pokemon market is, everything was going to sell regardless of the price. Offering people incentives on something that's flying off the shelves doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Offering kickbacks and discounts for stuff like that, it's really, in my view, not the most intelligent business decision. Plus, with Final Fantasy, they found people that were willing to sell plate boosters at $145. You take the commission out, you take the shipping out, they're probably making $5 or $6 per box. It's not a bad deal for those guys getting their allocations up. And quite honestly, you make hay on the commander decks and the collector boxes, and you keep the allocation high by moving those. And then there were two different groups selling the commander displays. I think one was planned and the other was just kind of a front runner. But either way, we looked at play boosters. Let's look at the commander decks real quick. I don't want to talk about the collector boxes. They're going to do their own thing, but I mean, the collectors or the commander decks here, 427. So you're basically sitting, 1,100 of these sold, 3,000 so far, and they're still almost a month before release. It's pretty insane. I do not know, and I should know this, what the expected value of the cards in the decks are. Obviously that kind of creates a floor to these. I'll make sure I find that one out. But I mean, these are flying off the shelves. I haven't played Magic in a very long time. Obviously, we've sold it forever. But the cards look freaking awesome. I mean, I grew up playing Final Fantasy. I know some of the games I haven't played, but the flavor of the cards are cool. The Final Fantasy 3 ones, the Final Fantasy 2, the Super Nintendo versions, whatever it is, 5 and 6 or 4 and 5, whatever. In the official order, the flavor of the cards is cool, or it's super cool. So This has gone absolutely nuts. This is going to continue to go nuts. What's going to be interesting is we have Edge of Eternities that everybody's just going to shit on, similar to what they did with Dark Here. It's coming out August 1st, and it's sandwiched between Final Fantasy and Spider-Man. So it's basically the Ensign Ricky set of Magic the Gathering for the year, if you get the Family Guy reference for the scrub guy in Star Trek who dies in the episode. Anyway, long story. Google it or look it up on YouTube. It's a good scene. So it's going to be interesting if Wizards of the Coast looks at this set and says, we got to make it an absolute home run to get attention, or they just pack it in and say, you know what, we don't give a shit. People are going to buy Final Fantasy, people are going to buy Spider-Man, and just bag it. We've made a pretty sizable investment in it and commitment in it, just to kind of grow our spend and our base for the set where nobody else is. So maybe we get lucky, maybe we don't, but it is what it is. So let's move to Pokemon. Destined Rivals. This is a set that every PokeTuber in the world is putting together a clickbait thumbnail saying that the sky is falling, everything's crashing. The fucking boxes are $265, assholes. Like, shut the fuck up. This set is probably the highest price at release of any set in a very, very long time. So the fact that the boxes have gone from $300 to $265, it's $35. That's probably what you're making in 3 weeks on YouTube views. If it's anything like any of the channels that I know. This set's an absolute banger. It's an absolute home run. Now, what I want to do, analysis-wise, if we look at Destined Rivals sales, and this is just regular booster box, and thank God there's not two different versions, because that was just a pain in the ass. I mean, we look at yesterday, almost 400 boxes sold, which is nuts. But to see only 3,200 booster boxes sell, I remember when I was mapping Stellar Crown, I believe, and Surging Sparks, those sets were like 7,000 boxes right before release. And I need to go back and take a look at it, because I think there's a really, really important data point here that nobody's looking at. And, you can look at the total value or the total volume of spend, but if the units aren't getting put away, the price on the product has a lot more risk of downside. Now, that being said, with a higher price point, fewer boxes are going to get ripped. So the singles are going to have more value, which is going to prop up the box price. And, it's kind of the upward spiral, if you will. But I think the value of the cards in the set, it's going to support this box price. It's just going to, and they don't have any singles listed yet. Let me check. Yeah, I don't think there's anything here in no, there are a few, but they're not going to have any prices. But again, the Mewtwo is going to be a $500-$600 card, and it's not possible for a set with a $500 or $600 card to sell for $150. It's just not going to happen. So those of you saying they're going to print it to the ground and this and that, they could, but what's your downside? Are they going to be able to print it to get the card to 250, 225, wherever the Surging Sparks Pikachu is? Well, guess what? Those boxes are still 220. So 265 to 220. You're not going to get to where you think it's going to go based on where they're printing today. You would need an entire loss of confidence in the market, which isn't going to happen anytime soon. So feel free to quote me in a video. I don't give a shit, but the bottom is not going to fall out of this anytime soon. And it doesn't matter what they print until there is a wholesale psychological change in the folks that buy Pokemon. It's not going to happen, because you're not going to have the extenuating circumstance that you had with COVID, when the doors are unlocked, everybody goes outside, and it's like, oh shit, I can spend my money on hookers and blow now. I don't have to buy Pokemon. So it's apples and oranges. So, as if any of you guys are Wall Street fans, not the movie, the actual thing, Jim Chanos is a supposedly legendary short seller. And I've met the guy a couple times. And he's always right about shitty companies. But the problem is there's still people stupid enough to buy the stock. And he goes years and years and years where he's effectively losing money on his short plays because even though he's right, it's like the Wall Street bets thing. Yeah, I could say stupid longer than you can stay solvent. So, that's it's a long-winded way of saying, you can be bearish, but you're gonna be wrong. So we'll just see what magnitude of wrong it is. And again, I think when Mega Evolutions 1 comes out in September, there's going to be a lot coming to market. We're going to get back to, when I say normalcy, I say boxes coming out around 140, 150. And it's going to have to happen to kind of reset things. And they're going to have to dump a lot of market. But that's not a bear market. That's returning to normal. And we may actually get a soft landing with this thing, which is more than what the Fed could do, but different conversation. So anyway, moving on. Don't want to ramble too much. I've done that enough already. SV 1 through 5. So all of the sets that are at least a year old or more. Now, Twilight and Temporal don't rotate out till 2027. Whether we get sizable reprints, doubtful. So we've got Twilight. We got Temporal. November, December, we did get a bunch of product coming to market. These sets are all, oh my God. Okay, I guess I missed something here because Obsidian Flames is 250. This was 225 the other day. So what I mentioned in my video on Thursday was in a bull market, sets tend to overshoot on the upside and undershoot on the downside in a bull versus a bear market. So we're at the point where we could potentially be overshooting on the upside because you have Paldea evolved at 300. Twilight's 228, Temporal 215, 250 on Obsidian, Paradox 210, SV base 205. That should be a little bit higher, but that's my opinion. Everybody's gone from the Sword and Shield boxes and said, holy shit, these things are now $300, $400, $500. We're going to look for value in Scarlet and Violet. So the risk profile of where the money goes starts to ratchet up slowly. It's like a frog in a boiling pot of water, to use that analogy. So, yeah, people are pushing money to sets. The sets are still theoretically within the reprint window. But people are going to start betting that Obsidian Flames, Paradox Rift aren't going to get reprinted. So they're going to push the box price up. And the higher the box price goes, the more likely it is that that product is going to get reprinted right before it rotates out of cycle or out of legality, whatever it is, or out of standard. So, this may be a self-fulfilling prophecy of getting face smashed here. It really all comes down to how much print capacity does Pokemon really have? Speaking of that, I saw the PokeBeach article, and a couple YouTubers just kind of piled on to the release about Black and White being delayed and certain distributors getting nothing. As of right now, that's bullshit. Now, I reserve the right to change my mind in a day or two. All of the distributors I've spoken to, they have committed purchase orders. Now, if the Pokemon Company doesn't deliver on those purchase orders, that is a different conversation. But that non-delivery isn't going to happen for another 2 months. So for somebody to say, I'm not getting product because it's delayed 2 months early, that smells like FOMO creation. I personally think it's bullshit, and it doesn't mesh with what I've heard. So PokeBeach is right 99.9% of the time, and they very well could be this time. I find it hard to believe that Pokemon's going to tell distro one thing, and then 3 days later, 2 months before release, say something completely different. If I get other additional information, I'm going to share it. But again, it's a distributor spreading something that's going to push up the price. And as we know, there are certain distributors that hold product back. It's in their best interest to push the price up, especially if they're starting to smell the end of the cycle or the cycle cooling off as we go into Mega Evolutions. And again, the buyers at the distributors are going to know better than anybody else when there's a massive increase in supply coming. So Remains to be seen. Who knows? So, all right, touching on one last thing, Flesh and Blood. And again, I don't like the company. I don't like the management team. I got burned with the 2.0 stuff. Now, I wasn't in for Monarch and the Channel Fireball clusterfuck where everybody got their face ripped off. I was in after that. But I don't like the way they have heroes rotate out, because you take entire sets, and the sets are effectively built towards certain classes and heroes. If those heroes get pushed to illegal, well, it's living legends. They're too good, they get retired. If that effectively destroys the value of sets. So taking sealed boxes and the investor/collector part of this is effectively non-existent, because your good cards go to zero. And there's a little bit of hyperbole there, but that's what I dislike about this game significantly, because there is no value in holding product past the current set. And, I'm sure they know that. So moving on, the mechanics here are so fucked up. And the reason I say that is the boxes sell for a lot because the expected value of the cards are better than really anything on the market, because there's so many people buying singles, but nobody buys the boxes because it's dead money. And nobody wants to take the risk of buying the boxes. But for example, this is one of the hottest products at Distro. And the set comes out in a month, I think, 3 weeks. The 5th, 6th, I think. Anyway, I can click them on, I don't care. And I know one of the bigger single sellers, and he's been around 1,200 to 1,500 boxes per set. And he got cut to 500 on this. And you've seen a couple folks on YouTube who deal with this with Flesh and Blood, and they deal with a lot of product. They've been cut by 60%. So there are a lot of stores who see money in this, and they're taking the product, they're asking for the product. But quite honestly, I don't think they have any idea what the fuck they're doing. So I'll give you an example. So there's effectively a case hit in each one of these, and it's either legendary. I think it's legendary unless they changed it. You have a Fabled, which isn't really playable, but it's super hard to get. I think it's one in like 40 cases, 45 cases. But you have the booster box cases, and $500. Look at the sell-through. This was yesterday. 21 cases. There's four boxes in a case. So 84 boxes in cases for something that's coming out in 2 weeks. 6.6, yeah. That's kind of weird. And then if we look at the individual boxes, and you never buy this, you buy the case, because people could open the cases. I mean, not here, for example, but before they ship them, they could open the box. It's kind of like Weiss, right? You get your hit and you sell the rest of the boxes. If you get lucky, sometimes it's the last box. So here, boxes are 118. And by the way, these are 67.50 from Distro. So there's really good margin in this. 74 boxes. So you have 84 in cases, you have 74 loose boxes, so you have 158 boxes selling in the single largest TCG platform. What the fuck is going on? And you see this set after set after set. The sealed product just doesn't sell. And it's so bizarre to me, because the singles sell like they're going out of style. And they sell quickly. So, there's a lot of stores that are getting product, and you can't sell the sealed product. I'm not even sure how well you sell the packs. We're trying to try it out again in the local community, but it still remains to be seen if anybody's going to want to play it. Now, apparently the gameplay is it's fun, but again, they push it as super competitive. And there's a lot of folks that just don't want to deal with that headache anymore. So I just wanted to point this out, because it's a game that you're going to hear a lot about. There's going to be a lot of hype and everybody talking about how it's going through the roof and it's back and this and that. But the sealed product doesn't sell. It is the most illiquid game out there. In fact, Arthurian Legends for Sorcery, which was the biggest overprinted bag of shit, that was super hyped, and I was excited for it until I opened the product, and I'm like, this is terrible. Sat in Distro for October through really a couple weeks ago. I think it's sold out now, or it may have just gotten taken down. They may have taken it back from distro. I don't know. I know there was like 5,000 boxes across Southern and PhD at some point back in March. There were more boxes of that than the most recent Flesh and Blood set selling. And people couldn't give the boxes away because there was just so much out there. And there's a player base, but the player base is finite. So, you open 5 boxes. It's like, okay, well, I have everything I need to play. The set isn't standalone, so it's not like you can just open that set. And the chase cards are so hard to hit. It's like you're just wasting money trying to get them. You're better off buying them. So, just to give you an example, and I mean, look at here, let's do this real quick. And this is my last ramble before I go to bed. Let's go to Innistrad Remastered. And we're going to look at collector displays. So literally the shittiest Magic product that nobody wants. 39 sold yesterday. I think there were 80 some Aether Drift or 100 and some. But 40 of these at $200 and some is $8,000. And then you're looking at 150 at $100. I mean, this basically sold half of what a brand new set did. So a dead product that nobody wants sold half of the gross dollar value than a new set coming out in 2 weeks from Flesh and Blood did. So it doesn't make sense to me. And at some point, I don't know if the Emperor has no clothes or or it's just a completely different mechanic that was created there just based on players versus, the fact that there is no value in buying and sitting on the sealed product. It's just weird. It's just weird. So I just want to point that out. So, if you hear the FOMO, it's dangerous. A lot of people have gotten burned because you have a set that's going through the roof and then all of a sudden the heroes get retired and the cards go to 0. So anyway, that's market update. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Discord. Again, we're selling $140 boxes of Final Fantasy in case form. So I think it's $840 shipped if you want to join. And if not, that's cool. Have a great night. We'll see you tomorrow.